The cold stone of the arena beneath his feet felt like nothing as Sergeant Nathan Carter stepped into the grand arena. His heart pounded in his chest, louder than the roaring crowd. The alien spectators filled the stands, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. This was no ordinary battle, this was a test of everything. Humans had no place in these kinds of tournaments. They were considered weak, small, and inferior. No one had ever won a contest like this, at least no human ever had. Nathan had been thrust into this situation by a series of events that he never expected. One moment, he had been fighting on the front lines of a war on a far-flung human colony. The next, he was standing in this arena, the center of attention of thousands of alien eyes, each one judging him, waiting for him to fail. He was a soldier, not a gladiator. He had no idea what had brought him here. His planet had been thrown into chaos after a mysterious alien faction had invaded their homeworld. In the aftermath of the chaos, he and a small group of survivors had been captured and taken to this foreign world. Now he was one of the unwilling participants in the Vox Clash, a brutal tournament that took place across multiple alien species. Winning was the only way to survive. But survival meant more than just staying alive. It meant earning respect in a galaxy that considered humans to be little more than pests. As Nathan tried to calm his breathing, his eyes darted to the figure who had just entered the arena, Princess Zaylaner. The alien princess stood tall and regal, her presence commanding the attention of everyone around. Her race was known for their strength, their advanced technology, and their fierce warriors. She was not just any princess, she was a warrior princess. Her dark blue skin shimmered under the artificial light, and her eyes glowed with a fierce intensity. Her long, silver hair cascaded down her back, and her armor, adorned with intricate designs, suggested power, elegance, and authority all at once. The crowd hushed as she raised her hand. The silence was deafening, and Nathan couldn't help but notice how much everyone revered her. She was the reason the entire tournament existed. She was the reason they all fought, and they all wanted to please her, impress her. But Nathan, as always, wasn't concerned with impressing anyone. He was focused on staying alive. Princess Zaylaner's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Human, win this battle, and you win me." Her words rang out across the arena. The tension in the air shifted from uncertainty to excitement. Whispers broke out among the alien spectators, murmurs of disbelief and speculation. It was clear that no human had ever reached this level in the tournament, let alone been offered something as daring as the princess herself. Nathan could feel the weight of their stares on him. The stakes had just gotten impossibly high. He wasn't just fighting for survival now, he was fighting for a chance at something he couldn't even begin to understand. The princess had challenged him, and with her declaration, she had placed the fate of everything in his hands. But was it really possible? Could a human like him stand a chance against the fiercest fighters from across the galaxy? His mind raced as the arena gates opened, revealing the first of many obstacles. His opponent stepped forward, Talinar, an alien creature with the body of a giant and the agility of a predator. He was known for his ruthless precision and unmatched strength. Tall and muscular, with scales that gleamed like polished stone, Talinar was a terrifying sight to behold. His broad shoulders were crowned with sharp, glistening spines, and his eyes, glowing a fierce yellow, were fixed on Nathan with a predatory gleam. The crowd roared as the battle began. Nathan's instincts kicked in, but he didn't immediately rush at Talinar. Instead, he took a moment to size up his opponent, trying to gauge his movements. The aliens in the stands seemed eager for him to fail, their excitement palpable. Talinar moved with surprising speed, charging toward Nathan with a guttural roar. The ground shook under his massive feet, and Nathan barely had time to dodge. The alien warrior swung his massive fist, sending shockwaves through the air, but Nathan was quicker. He sidestepped, narrowly avoiding the crushing blow. "Not bad, human," Talinar growled, his voice dripping with mockery. Nathan gritted his teeth and focused. His years of military training had prepared him for moments like this. He wasn't a champion of some grand arena, but he was a soldier, a fighter who survived by using his wits and his strength. He moved again, quicker this time, using the environment to his advantage. He grabbed a fallen metal rod from the arena floor and swung it at Talinar's head. The blow landed, but the alien barely flinched. Talinar laughed, his deep voice booming in the arena. "I'll give you credit," he said. "You're persistent, but you won't survive this." Nathan knew that the only way to win was to outthink his opponent. Talinar was strong, but he was overconfident. That was his weakness. Nathan darted behind a pillar, his chest rising and falling as he quickly formulated a new plan. He needed something to give him the edge. He couldn't match Talinar in raw strength, but his agility and adaptability were his greatest assets. Talinar was coming, slower now, his arrogance fueling his steps. The alien warrior charged again, but this time Nathan was ready. As Talinar swung for him, Nathan ducked, rolling to the side. He darted forward, striking at Talinar's exposed side with the metal rod. The hit landed with a satisfying crack. Talinar staggered, and for the first time, Nathan saw the alien warrior falter. "Impossible," Talinar muttered, wiping blood from his mouth. "No human should be able to do this." But Nathan wasn't done yet. The crowd was now silent, unsure of what to make of this turn of events. They had expected him to fall, but now Nathan had their attention. Talinar lunged again, but this time Nathan was faster. With one final, well-placed strike, he knocked Talinar to the ground. The crowd went wild, their cheers echoing across the arena. But Nathan's focus never wavered. He had won, but the real battle was just beginning. Princess Zaelanar's eyes met his from across the arena. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a flicker of something in her gaze. Respect, intrigue, maybe both. Nathan stood tall, blood dripping from his wounds, but he was ready. He had earned his place in this arena, and he wasn't about to let anyone forget it. The real challenge had only just begun. Nathan stood tall, his chest heaving with exertion. His eyes scanned the arena as the alien spectators erupted into applause. They hadn't expected him to survive the first battle, let alone win. But he had done it, and now, as the cheers died down, he found himself thrust into the spotlight. The announcer's voice boomed across the stadium. "Victory to the human! Nathan Carter, your battle continues." The words echoed in his mind as he wiped sweat and blood from his brow. He had faced Talinar, an alien warrior known for his unmatched strength, and had come out victorious against all odds. But that wasn't the end of it. No, not by a long shot. The real challenge was just beginning. Nathan's body ached, his muscles sore from the brutal combat. Every movement felt like it took twice the effort, but he couldn't afford to stop. Not yet. His eyes scanned the crowd once more, catching glimpses of the royal box where Princess Zaelanar stood, her face unreadable. There was something in her gaze, a flicker of intrigue. She had watched him win, but what did that mean? Would she see him as a worthy opponent or simply as a curiosity? As if reading his thoughts, a new voice echoed through the arena. It was deeper, more commanding than the announcers, and it belonged to the next challenger. "Nathan Carter," the voice thundered, "prepare yourself for the next round. You face Vornak, the Raxian blood brawler." Nathan's heart skipped a beat. The name sounded familiar, too familiar. He had heard stories about the Raxians, a savage race known for their bloodlust and unrelenting combat prowess. Vornak was no mere warrior. He was a legend, feared across the galaxy for his brutality in the arena. The crowd erupted into cheers, a mix of excitement and anticipation. This was a fight no one would want to miss. As the announcer's words faded, Nathan steadied his breathing, trying to ignore the pounding in his ears. Vornak was larger than Talinar, with a towering frame that made even the toughest opponents look small. His skin was a deep crimson, marked with scars from countless battles, and his eyes glowed with the rage of a true warrior. The ground trembled under his footsteps as he walked toward Nathan, each step sending a ripple through the air. "Human," Vornak growled, his voice like gravel scraping against stone. "You should have stayed out of this tournament. You've angered the wrong people." Nathan stood firm, his stance wide, ready for whatever was coming. He could feel the weight of the crowd's expectations bearing down on him, but he pushed it aside. This wasn't about them. It was about surviving, about proving that humans weren't to be underestimated. Vornak lunged forward, his massive fists raised high, and Nathan barely had time to react. The Raxian's fists came crashing down like a hammer, each blow creating shockwaves that rattled Nathan's bones. He barely dodged, the air whooshing past his face as Vornak's fist slammed into the ground. Dust and debris flew up, obscuring their surroundings for a moment. Nathan's eyes locked onto his opponent. This was no ordinary fight. This was a battle for survival. He needed to think quickly to adapt. Vornak grinned, his sharp teeth glinting in the dim light of the arena. "You can't run forever, human," he sneered. Nathan didn't run. Instead, he dashed forward, using the chaos of the dust cloud to his advantage. He slid under Vornak's next swing, narrowly avoiding the deadly blow, and rolled to his feet behind the Raxian. With a quick motion, he grabbed a nearby spear that had been discarded by a previous combatant. He jabbed it toward Vornak's side, aiming for the gap in his armor. But the Raxian was quick, too quick. With a snarl, Vornak twisted around, grabbing Nathan by the arm and lifting him off the ground with terrifying ease. Nathan kicked and struggled, but the grip was like iron. "You're too weak, human," Vornak mocked, squeezing tighter. Nathan could feel his arm starting to burn with pain, but he didn't panic. He couldn't afford to. Instead, he focused, using his legs to push off the ground. With a grunt, he twisted in Vornak's grip, and using his weight and the Raxian's momentum, flipped himself over and onto Vornak's back. The Raxian bellowed in surprise, trying to shake him off, but Nathan held tight, wrapping his legs around his opponent's torso. He reached forward, grabbing the Raxian's own wrist and twisting it. The pain in his arm was almost unbearable, but Nathan ignored it, his mind working fast. Vornak staggered, his movements becoming erratic as Nathan tightened his hold. The crowd was silent now, watching with rapt attention. For a moment, it seemed like Nathan might actually have a chance at winning, but Vornak wasn't finished yet. With a roar, the Raxian slammed his back into the nearest pillar, crushing Nathan against it. Pain shot through Nathan's body, but he refused to let go. He felt his vision blur, but he fought it back, keeping his focus sharp. If he let go now, he would die. Vornak grunted in frustration as he tried again to throw Nathan off. But Nathan, through sheer will, managed to twist Vornak's arm behind his back, forcing him to his knees. With one last desperate effort, Nathan kicked out, sending Vornak crashing to the ground. He was on top of him in an instant, grabbing the Raxian's own weapon, a spiked mace, and driving it into Vornak's chest with every ounce of strength he had left. The crowd gasped as Vornak's body fell limp. The Raxian's once unshakable confidence was gone. Nathan stood over him, panting and covered in blood and dirt. His arm throbbed with pain, but he had done it. Against all odds, he had defeated one of the fiercest warriors in the galaxy. The announcer's voice rang out once more. "Victory to the human." "Nathan Carter prevails again?" The arena erupted in applause, but Nathan barely heard it. His heart was still racing, his body sore and battered. He couldn't stop now. He had come this far, but the fight wasn't over. Princess Zaylener's words echoed in his mind. "Win this battle and you win me." Nathan glanced toward the royal box. The princess was watching him closely, her gaze intense, but there was something else in her eyes now, respect perhaps, or maybe it was something more. Nathan couldn't be sure, but he knew one thing for certain. He wasn't done yet, not by a long shot. Nathan stood in the center of the arena, bloodied and bruised but resolute. His chest heaved with every breath and his vision was blurry from exhaustion, but he had made it. Against all odds, he had defeated Vornak, the Raxian blood brawler, one of the most feared warriors in the galaxy. The cheers of the alien spectators filled the arena, but to Nathan they felt distant, muffled. The reality of what he had just accomplished hadn't quite sunk in. He had expected to be killed in his first fight, yet here he was, standing victorious. His eyes scanned the crowd, and they locked onto the royal box where Princess Zaylener stood. Her face was unreadable, her expression neutral, but there was something in the way her eyes followed him. Something that made Nathan wonder if there was more to her words than just a challenge. She had promised him that if he won, he would win her. But he wasn't sure if she meant that literally or as part of the spectacle. Still, for all the uncertainty, he couldn't deny the fire that burned inside him. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. No, this had become personal. It had become about showing the galaxy that humans were not weak, that they could stand toe-to-toe with the fiercest creatures in the universe. He was fighting for the respect that had been denied to his people for so long. The announcer's voice boomed through the arena once again, pulling Nathan from his thoughts. "Nathan Carter," the announcer called, "your victory is a triumph, but the final battle awaits. The Zornian warlord Karnak will face you next." The crowd erupted into cheers at the mention of Karnak's name. Nathan had heard the stories. Karnak was a living legend, a giant of a creature with a reputation for crushing opponents with ease. He was a being of raw, untamed power, and he had never been defeated in the tournament. Nathan felt his stomach tighten. If Vornak had been a challenge, Karnak would be something else entirely, but Nathan couldn't afford to hesitate. He had come this far, and there was no turning back now. His body was battered, his energy nearly depleted, but his mind was sharper than ever. This fight, this final battle, would determine everything. The gates of the arena opened, and Karnak stepped into the light. He was massive, at least 3 times the size of Nathan. His skin was like granite, smooth and unyielding, with veins of red running through it, giving him an almost molten appearance. His eyes were deep crimson, burning with an unquenchable fury. The ground trembled with each step he took, and his bellowing roar sent a shiver down Nathan's spine. The Zornian warlord was clad in massive, jagged armor, adorned with spikes and metal plates that seemed to pulsate with energy. He carried a massive hammer, its head large enough to crush a building. Nathan couldn't imagine how anyone could survive a blow from that weapon, but Nathan was not about to let fear take hold. He clenched his fists, taking a deep breath. His body might be broken, but his will was unyielding. Karnak's voice boomed across the arena. "Human," he growled, "you should have stayed down. You cannot defeat me. I am the greatest warrior the galaxy has ever known." Nathan's jaw tightened. "We'll see about that." With a roar, Karnak charged. The earth shook with the force of his movement. Nathan didn't hesitate. He sprinted forward, knowing that if he allowed Karnak to land the first blow, it would be over before it began. He darted to the side just as Karnak swung his massive hammer in a wide arc, sending a gust of wind and dust in its wake. Nathan ducked, narrowly avoiding the blow, and he scrambled to his feet. Karnak was fast, faster than Nathan had expected for such a giant creature. The Zornian warlord turned, bringing the hammer down with crushing force. Nathan rolled to the side again, feeling the heat of the hammer's descent as it struck the ground where he had been standing moments before. The impact sent shockwaves through the arena, and Nathan had to fight to keep his balance. His legs felt like they were made of lead, and his body screamed for rest, but he couldn't afford to slow down. He had to outsmart Karnak. That was his only chance. As the warlord lifted his hammer for another strike, Nathan sprinted to the side, using the edge of the arena to give himself a little extra momentum. He was already thinking 2 steps ahead. Karnak was powerful, but his movements were predictable. Nathan could read his attacks, he just needed to find the opening. Karnak swung again, but this time Nathan was ready. He ducked under the hammer, sliding in close to Karnak's side. With all the strength he could muster, he jabbed his elbow into the warlord's exposed ribcage, hoping to find some weakness in the giant's armor. Karnak grunted, but his armor held. Nathan grimaced. This wasn't enough. Karnak growled in frustration. "You're a pesky one, human," he snarled, turning to face Nathan. His eyes burned with anger. "I will crush you." Before Nathan could react, Karnak swung his hammer down at him again. This time, Nathan was too slow. The hammer's head crashed into the ground, sending a shockwave that sent Nathan sprawling across the arena floor. Pain exploded in his chest, and for a moment he couldn't breathe. He gasped for air, struggling to regain his composure, but he couldn't afford to stay down. He forced himself to his feet, his vision blurry. Karnak loomed over him, his eyes burning with sadistic pleasure. He was savoring the moment. He thought Nathan was finished, but Nathan had no intention of giving up. Not now, not after everything he had fought for. He dug deep, finding the strength to push himself forward. His body screamed in protest, but his mind was clear. He couldn't let Karnak win, not when he was so close. He couldn't let Zaylaner's challenge be in vain. With a roar, Nathan surged forward, using the last of his energy to leap at Karnak's side. The warlord tried to move, but Nathan was too fast. He grabbed hold of the giant's armor and used his weight to climb up, making his way to Karnak's shoulder. The warlord swung his hammer wildly, trying to dislodge Nathan, but it was too late. Nathan drove his fist into the seam of Karnak's armor, the weak point where the plates joined. With all his remaining strength, he punched again and again until the armor cracked. Karnak roared in pain, stumbling backward as Nathan tore through the plating. With one final effort, Nathan shoved his fist into the opening, landing a blow that sent Karnak crashing to the ground. The warlord groaned, the force of the impact shaking the arena. Nathan stood over him, breathing heavily. His body was battered and broken, but he had won. Against all odds, he had defeated the greatest warrior in the galaxy. The crowd was silent for a moment, stunned into disbelief. Then, slowly, the arena erupted into cheers. Nathan's victory was unlike any other. He had done the impossible, and as he looked up, he saw her, Princess Zaylener. Her eyes were fixed on him, and for the first time she smiled. "You have proven yourself human," she said softly, her voice carrying across the arena. "You have earned my respect." Nathan's heart raced as he stood there, battered and bloodied, the weight of his victory sinking in. He had won, but this was just the beginning. He had earned the princess's respect, but now he had to figure out what to do with it.